Hey everyone, this is DJ.
And this is Ish.
And this is Season 5 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
Hey, mi gente, Ish here. Now, I mean, if you've been listening over 200 episodes at this point, you know that one of the things we love to do is bring about the beauty that is our culture. There's so much richness there. There's so many stories that need to be told and should never be forgotten. And that's why I am super excited to be here at Beat Culture with the co-creators of the Amparo Experience, which, I mean, pre-COVID, there was no other ticket that was hotter than the Amparo Experience in Miami. I mean, that's called a fact, and you have to live with it. But they are also the co-founders of the Abrecamino collective, which is like an art collective that really is about telling our stories and making sure that, again, we don't lose those stories to time, as it were. So thank you so much for joining us. We have Vanessa Garcia and Victoria Collado with us. Thank you, ladies, for making the time. I know to say you're busy is almost like saying water is wet is the understatement of life. But yeah, no, thank you for coming. I mean, I see you're wearing your Forever Cuba shirt from the Amparo Experience. Yeah. You know, I was looking for my like Cuba-ish shirt. All I could find was my The Miami shirt, but we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength.
I have a Sabache.
Oh, yeah. well,
counts,
she wins.
Right?
She super wins.
She wins.
Like
That's
Cuba
it.
right
Like,
now.
forget it. You win Cuba. That's it. Like,
that's it. I literally told her that today. Like, one day you're gonna come in and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I solved Cuba's problem." I'm like, "Okay, great."
I believe it. I believe it. I mean, if anybody can do it, why not?
Oh my Lord.
So thanks for joining us. So I want to start with the Amparo Experience, just because, like I said, it seems, and I want to say it was 2019 when it was first put on.
Yes.
Yeah. We had two like test pilots in 2018, and then 2019 was like the for real thing.
Right. I'm not kidding when I say if you lived in Miami and you didn't know about the Amparo Experience, then you weren't living in Miami, and you were dead. Those are the only two options. It was like the hottest ticket that year. I mean, where did the idea come from? Because it wasn't just theater, right? I mean, not to say that, anybody can write a play, because, I mean, I have, but, but it was an immersive experience. So it was like you guys said, I'm going to write a play. No, hold my beer. I'm going to do more, right? Like, so how did that even happen?
I think we live in hold my beer mode, but
as we're having beers right now, yes.
Hold my beer. But I will say that I'll start with the marketing company of Havana Club reached out to me and asked me. They were like, "Oh, you write a lot about Cuba, and you also have written plays, and you know about Cuba, right?" Mm-hmm. So, and there's a story, Havana Club, blah blah blah.
The real Havana Club, by the way, people. I'm just putting that out there.
That's correct.
Just saying, okay.
The real Havana Club, made in Puerto
footnote.
Rico. Yeah.
All right.
That one. But yeah, so they reached out to me and said, are you interested in writing this really short, like 20-minute thing in a bar? And I was like, yeah, let me look it up. I was doing something else. And then when I started to research the thing, I was like, oh my God, this is the best story. Why isn't this told? This has to get told. And then I called Vicky.
So you were like, 20 minutes is not going to cut it.
No.
Like, forget
the
it.
20-minute thing went out the window the first time I had a beer with Paul Ramirez, who's the person who had brought me on, and then the next person, which was Michael Sheehan, and then everything went out. The 20 minutes went out the window on day 3 or something.
Yeah, I want to say that she did try.
Okay.
She did try.
That's true, I did.
Okay.
She did try. We sat down, we read the script, and we were like, there's no way. And then Michael Sheehan, who's like a really good friend of ours, and really the
I feel like I know that name.
Well, I mean, if you are in the marketing world, you have to know Michael Sheehan, and he's the person who number one hospitality person.
Oh, okay.
And so he kind of just just go dream. And we've been talking about this recently. It was one of the first times that we felt for real true freedom in creating when we're in collaboration with someone. There was no we're used to producers telling us but can you change this? Can you change that? Can you do this? And we felt freedom, we had the ability to really expand. So the 20 minutes went out the door real fast.
Yeah, because we were allowed, right? Because they were like, what if it's not that? After the, like, because we all got obsessed. We all got obsessed with the story, and we were really passionately into it. Like, our meetings would be like, the hands everywhere, and the veins, and the, like, it was real. It was real.
Yeah.
It was real for
I feel
the
like
real
I feel like I'm reliving it as you're retelling the story. Like
Oh my
it's
God.
coming across so vividly, So for those who don't know, again, those 3 people who don't know about the Amparo experience, because let's face it, our listeners, they know what's what. Give us a little bit of background on, what is the story there? Because I know it does, obviously it ties to Cuba, or else I wouldn't have given that entire intro. But also, it does tie to the Bacardi family,
Correct.
and so it does make sense that Havana Club would be like, hey, let's have this conversation.
Right. So the Real Havana Club was created by the Arechavala family back in 1872. Sorry, no, 1935. The Arechavalas opened.
1934. Okay.
Wow.
Oh my God.
No, this is because Vicky's having a beer. This is
I was
why.
gonna say, and for the record, she's behind us in the beer drinking. Like her beer's almost full. It's,
I am a lightweight. I will say
oh
I'm a
no,
lightweight.
I'm seeing. I don't know. I'm seeing that.
Okay,
Oh my God.
1934, after Prohibition.
After Prohibition, but
Oh,
their company
prohibition
had
was
been
happening in
around.
Cuba too.
Yeah. Well, no.
No.
Oh, you're just using
Prohibition
our
ended.
prohibition as okay. Got it. Okay.
Because everyone went to Cuba. Because we had Prohibition, everybody hopped
Got
over.
There
it.
was all the ferries that would
Okay.
go
And they
over
would
there.
go over there. So then Havana Club was made for that market once the American market opened. The name in English and the whole thing. The dream was like, okay, American export always. You know what I mean? Because those are the people drinking.
Okay. Got
So,
it.
The 1878 comes from the fact that the company was built back then.
It was built. That's when
I'm
it
like-
started.
This is like the most embarrassing. Like I live this timeline and I'm like
And
messing it
also,
up.
you're super good with dates.
I know. So this is a moment. This is the delicious beer. So the point is that they create Havana Club, and back in that day it was really like the rival to Bacardi, right? It was like either you were drinking Havana Club or you were drinking Bacardi, and
Like a Pepsi Coke thing.
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
That's exactly it. And so when the revolution hits, one of the companies that gets nationalized is Havana Club, and they basically walk into the factory with a gunpoint and are like, "Hey, this is ours now." And the same thing happened to Bacardi, except that Bacardi already didn't trust Batista beforehand.
Okay.
So they already had like setups in Puerto Rico and in Mexico, and
they had
their-
outs.
Yeah.
They had outs, and they were prepared. They were also around a little bit longer, meaning like they were a whole nother story. But
They were around since the 1800s.
they really
Right,
were.
okay.
By the time that Jose Arechavala comes to Cuba from Spain and creates Arechavala S.A., Bacardi had been going around for a while.
Okay.
So that's really the start of it. And then they get taken away. Cuba takes advantage of that and starts selling Havana Club under a stolen trademark.
Yeah.
And Ramon Arechavala, who's the person we tell the story of, and his wife Amparo, spent his entire life trying to bring back the brand to the rightful owners. Y lo que se forma ahí, tremendo desastre. So,
Yeah, I mean,
Which is
A
horrible
lifelong
for
battle.
real. It's horrible for real life, but great for a play.
yes.
very. Yeah.
And so, at what point did you, as you were researching this, and I know you said that it was one of those where they started with 20 minutes and they said, you know what, come back to me with your idea, do whatever y'all want.
Yeah.
At what point did you guys turn to each other and kind of go, let's make this a like choose your own adventure situation?
Okay.
And how much do you hate yourself that you wanted to create 17 different scripts? That because that is some self-hatred under the surface there, my dear. I'm just
know.
saying.
23.
Okay. Yeah.
There is
It was
23. Yeah, 5 entry points and 23 different. Like if you were gonna look at scripts, there was 23. It was insane, but it was really fun. And I don't think we were thinking in those terms of like it was just like go 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 go. You know what I mean? And this is my memory, and then you can tell yours. My memory was like there was a moment at Ball and Chain
Yes. That's the same one.
where we had a meeting and we had like essentially like we had handed in the 20-minute script that lasted 2 seconds and a conversation around like how it could become immersive. And then that conversation, and then Michael Sheehan was like, whatever, like if you need to bring in a Hummer down 8th Street. And we were like, Vicky and I looked at each other and we're like, oh, is this the kind of thing is this the kind of, yep, okay, no problem. We can do that. And in came all the dreams.
Right, yeah.
And here's the thing, like, literally, we dream extremely big.
Well, you're creatives. Of course you do.
And usually people are like, that is just that's like 17 shows. You got to chisel it down, right? But here was an opportunity to do the thing.
Right.
And so
they were encouraging it.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. That
Yeah,
they were like, no, go bigger, go bigger.
And
Right.
it was the team. It was specifically the team that was on it. It was not that it was like that magic. It was a magic team.
Yeah.
It really was, and like, having people like Paul Ramirez and Michael Sheehan and Gio and all these people that were experts at the thing that they do, really working with their everything. I'm talking about like people.
Gio.
Gutierrez.
Of course, Cha-Cha.
Of course, Cha-Cha.
Of course, one of our favorite people.
Yes. But everybody was working and still works from like their guts. And so when they're like, go for it, we have to tell this story. There's nothing else we can do. The only way for this story to get out is just to keep on telling it.
Yeah, of course.
Especially when us as Cuban Americans, I mean, in many ways we are Havana, like the real Havana Club, in the sense of like our credit as Cuban Americans of like whether we should care about Cuba or not is constantly being erased. And so
welcome to the conversation we're all constantly having to have, right?
Right. The very first campaign that they had was "Don't tell me I'm not Cuban."
Yeah. Oh, was that the one with? No, that was not the one with Raúl Esparza.
Yes.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. So that's where it was coming from, and it was like, yeah, absolutely. But let's tell that story of how we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, y'all were allowed to run rampant. You put this fantastic thing together. I didn't get to go see it because I wasn't one of the cool kids in 2019.
No.
But I will say I heard from everyone that came out of there. Once they stopped crying, they told me how wonderful it was. I feel like y'all just created this moment that everybody just gave them the feels. Because literally, I would say every time somebody told me about it, they'd be like, "Oh my God, it was so beautiful, and I cried so much, and it was so impactful, and it was so heartwarming, and it touched me." And I'm not blowing smoke up y'all's ass. Like, I'm literally telling you the constant that I would hear from everyone. How much of that, because you're telling someone else's story, right? I mean, this is a historical incident. It's not like I'm sure some elements were fictionalized for drama, but it is a biography at the end of the day. But what did you find as you were writing it and putting it together that you're like, oh, this is universal? This is, because I think that in order for people to feel that, I can watch the biopic of, What's Love Got to Do with It about Tina Turner and feel bad for her, right? Like, I can, no, because I mean, it's like, oh my God, vaya, le entró palo. Like, that's horrible. I feel bad. But I've never experienced that. I can have sympathy, but not necessarily empathy. And I feel that everyone who came out of your show, there was an empathetic angle to it where people felt their story was being told when, again, this is not a fictionalized story. This is literally a true, these are actual people.
Yeah, right. Do you want to say first about specificity and?
Well, I mean, I feel like it is. Where do we start here?
In the beginning.
In the beginning. What were you gonna say? Because I have many thoughts.
You have many thoughts.
Yeah.
So I think part of that is, if I'm gonna try to simplify it, is part of it was that there were a ton of real human hidden Mickeys within the piece. Meaning, as you went through, there was pieces of the story that were actually pieces of our family story, of the actor's family story, of like how we handled things. There's a lot of things that subtle gestures of like, there was these certain monologues that one-to-one people would have, and some of them were Geo stories. Some of them were like how my mom and my grandma swapped jewelry at some moments. There's a lot of pieces that were our family's story collectively as a group that I think infused the juice of the piece. And so, to be fair, we're talking to the perfect audience for this, which is mostly a bunch of Cuban Americans, even though what shocked us was like Vietnamese Americans coming in and being like, this is my story. And you're like, whoa, what?
Oh,
like,
wow.
In many ways, we expected the Cuban Americans to feel something.
Even the Venezuelans.
But the
True.
Venezuelans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that was part of it.
And I think also the immersive quality of it, in the sense of the reason, and this is something that we talked about a lot, And the idea of everybody talks about the revolution, everybody talks about what it is for everything to be taken from you. And this is something that Vicky would tell the cast. Like, everybody talks about that. What does it mean to feel it? Like, what does it mean to actually walk through it and actually feel it? And I think people forgot. There were moments where people forgot they were in a play, because there were moments of it that, for some people, reminded them of their life. The moment that I remember, and the reason why I stopped for a second is because it was like a flash of so many stories in the rum garden after that would come to me. Like, we had the Betancourt sisters that had to leave the show because they were like, and they waited for me outside. Okay. And they pulled me aside and they were like, I just want you to know that we had to leave because this is our story.
Right. It's not because you did anything offensive or
no,
whatever. No, al
contrario.
contrario.
People would wait outside, or they would faint, and then, like, we had fainters every week, and beg to be let back in.
Oh, shit.
So it was a big. So with the sisters, they were like, they essentially saw their family member get shot, and so. Jesus. They were in that moment, which was near the end, mind you. There was a redemption at the end, but they couldn't get through that moment because, of course, you know. So I think something about walking through it and walking the steps.
Well, because you're not separated by a stage.
Correct. And I think that a lot of it, meaning like that story, which is the one that I think sticks out a lot, but we had plenty of freaking stories that would come to us. Like, I remember a lady that was very similar who I sat down with, and she was like, I can't go back in there, but I was a nurse and I had to deal with a bunch of revolutionaries that I wanted to kill. Like, I had to, and I'm like, I can't do this. Like, this is great. And so I think part of that is the fact that, unfortunately, our history is embedded with very similar stories of this atrocity.
Right. No, yeah, I mean, ultimately it affected everyone. You know, even though we may not have had the same exact experiences, you know, you hear, like you said, the stories from your tios, your grandparents, and everybody, so you can relate to it. And I'm going to use that as a segue to talk about Abrecaminos, which I know, is it one camino or multiples?
It's one camino.
Okay, because I added an S at the end there.
A lot of people do.
Okay, because I like to take multiple paths. That's why. You know, we were talking earlier. I had the good fortune of going to the exhibit that you all had at Books and Books. You know, couldn't make Amparo, but I made sure I was not going to miss this one. With all of the photographs and with everyone telling their story. So it was, again, immersive in a different way. Yeah. Because it was down the hall, the pictures were there, and then everybody, you put on the headphones and was telling their family story or their personal stories. Also, bonus, I got to take home a set of headphones. It was nice. Because, who wants to, here's my earwax. But tell me a little bit more about, the Abrecamino collective and the works that y'all are doing, because it seems to me that in the last couple of years or so, especially I would say since, July 11th, that was last year, right?
Yeah.
Time has no meaning to me anymore after COVID.
Yeah.
That people, this kind of brought it into an awareness that didn't even exist when y'all did Amparo, right?
Yes.
I think if Amparo had come out this year, right, after last year and everything, I think it would have been even bigger, which means that I would have never been able to even get you guys on the show. But what is it about that you I think you touched upon it a little bit, but I want you to maybe elaborate that we need to not just tell our story, but we need to make sure that our story is being told properly.
Yes.
Is that a big crux of it? Because
that is major.
For the last year and change, nosotros no hemos pasado fajando on social media with everybody and their mother every time we post something about the horrors of Cuba.
Yes.
And it's always people who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, correct. To segue from Amparo, at the end of Amparo in the Rum Garden, there was a whole new generation of people that had been awakened to some stories that they didn't know before, and were energized in a way that I think was really interesting, in the sense that 2 years later, not even, comes July 11th, and they're ready for battle. All of them. All of the Miami kids, you know what I mean? All 25,000.
It was about to be like a reverse Pancero movement is what it looked like was going to happen,
It was real. And I think that matters. And it's because, the thing that you were talking about was essentially we are calling it the Martians.
Ooh.
because
Tell me
they-
more. I feel like you're talking about me right now.
Yes,
First
exactly.
of all,
We are.
We're all
Oh, okay,
Martians.
okay.
We're all Martians. You know, we're all from some other planet, seemingly sometimes, but also from Martí. So if you say Martianos in Spanish, and like it's just a play on words and all of this.
I love you both, but I kind of want to like. I hate you because that's so fucking brilliant. like it's just so fucking brilliant. Like I hate that I didn't come up with it, but I love you. I do. I love you. I love you, ladies.
But we're all Martians, right?
Right.
And we're Martians on both sides of the Florida Straits, you know?
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do and we've been doing for years now is collecting the stories, the interviews, long and real of the people from 1955 to the present moment. We have a lot of interviews from the people who fought on July 11th, Movimiento San Isidro, all of them.
So
like,
recent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like right now.
Like yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those interviews have been here. They've been in Spain. They've been all in,
wow.
you know, LA, like everywhere. So.
And this is an exhibit that has already begun, or it's
This is going to be, I mean, part of Abrecamino is what we call radical storytelling.
okay.
There's a lot of facets to what we mean by that, but part of it is truly immersing the audience member beyond medium. One of the facets of radical storytelling is immersing the audience member beyond medium in the story itself. So the piece itself is going to be a book. It has a documentary component. It has an immersive exhibit.
Wow. The epitome of 360.
Yeah, no. You're getting in there. And it's going to be a piece in which we want more people to come, meaning more access, more flow. But that's getting put together. But part of it is because people keep on trying to retell our story and take it out of the mouths of the people who lived it.
Right.
So Vane always says this, and it's the subconscious Vanessa that I have in the back of my head. No one can tell you that that's not your story. If you are telling your story, you can say whatever you want, but you can't tell my dad that he didn't spend his birthday waiting to get on a boat and cross over with a Mariel. You can't do that.
Can we say that louder for the people in the fucking back?
Yeah.
Because that is literally the biggest issue we have had is, you know, my co-host Darian, you know, his family, my parents came when they were young. Like, so my parents really lived most of their life here. His parents didn't. His parents came when they were in their 30s. You know, I mean, he was born there. He came when he was 6 months.
Yeah.
And when he tells these stories about his family, like you wouldn't be amazed because I'm sure you get this all the time. But it's amazing to me how many people online will be like, "No, you're lying. No, that's not true. No, that didn't happen." And it's like, listen, Todd from Maine.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, yes, it did, and don't come and talk to me about hardships when, you know, your biggest hardship is, oh no, they didn't have a venti at Starbucks. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
right,
like,
yeah.
I'm a favor.
Yeah, and sometimes it's Todd from Maine or wherever, and sometimes it's some freaking dude who's being paid by the Cuban government.
Bueno, that's, yeah.
Which
Right.
is real.
Pero bueno, por lo menos those people are getting a paycheck. At least,
Yes, at least.
el otro home come
maybe.
mierda que lo está haciendo because he
Maybe.
likes to.
No, they're probably getting a
They're
little
probably getting something else. They're probably getting Lord knows.
Bueno, pero they're getting a check in some
So,
form.
in some form.
Todd's
you're right.
worse. Todd's just being an asshole.
He's being oblivious, and not listening.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And I think that's, I mean, part of it is also the fact that we're clear that after Elian, we were all made the Crazy Cubans. Like that was a
Yeah.
that was
we
a
don't
very
do
clear,
our ourselves any favors. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We were painted in the United States, which is part of the thing.
We embrace it. That's part of our personality.
And it's okay.
Who wants to be sane?
But to the rest of the world,
Being sane is like being the human equivalent of the color beige. Who wants to be that?
to the rest of the world, we're the Crazy Cubans who wanted to separate a kid from his father.
Right.
And then to us, it was like there's an entire government manipulating this entire situation.
Yeah, it's not that simple.
No,
It's not that simple.
This
And
is not like Americans are like custody case, and you're like, hello, people.
On the face of it, yes.
Yeah, but
But
that's a very American view of
Right.
the entire thing,
Right.
you know? So it's very layered. It's layered,
Layered,
and
yeah.
lots
That-
of layers.
so, I mean, I think everybody has their place in la batalla, if you
Right.
will, and ours is storytelling and putting the stories out the way that they should be put out, and from the mouths of the babes, if you will.
do you find that that's happening more, not necessarily just with us Cuban Americans, but in general, that our stories, be they, you know, Cuban, Venezuelan, Black, Asian, gay, whatever, are being told more from the perspective of authenticity? Like they're being written by people who actually experienced it more than before, or do you think that it's still kind of a 50-50 sitch?
I think we're trying. I think we're really
There's
trying.
been inroads.
There's definitely. I think there's a lot of positive that has come out of the last couple of years, but I think there's still a lot of, and we're in meetings every day where people are like, but like, what makes this like Latin? Like, make it Latin. And you're telling them a Latin story, right? You're telling them your story, so therefore it is Latin just by the very fact that you're saying it.
Right.
And you're like, but this is what that is. Yeah, but I challenge you. What is it? you know, because this is exactly.
I've sat in those meetings.
Yes.
Because I used to do
horrendous.
multicultural marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
And multicultural marketing to some people means, well, we bought BET and we bought Univision. We're done. It's like that's the bare minimum.
It's full authenticity, and that's our problem. That there is this like, you want authentic, so I'm gonna be authentic, but I'm not really gonna listen.
Right.
And I'm gonna skirt around it, and I'm gonna ask you to adapt it to the way that I want you to adapt it. That's palatable to me.
Right. My theory of authentic.
Of you,
Right.
correct.
Right.
My theory of you is the you.
Yeah.
So
give me
please
the you
give
that I
me
think you are.
So of course you're always battling. You're always in a battle. And here's the thing, the minute they let you do the thing that you do, they have no idea how much money they can make. Like, that's the other thing.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, people.
Girl, show them those receipts from Amparo. They'll know. Because y'all were sold out literally every week.
But
Every
I think and it's not to be like, we're so great. It's not that. It's that we were telling a true story to people that we know how to tell it. We know how to tell we know it because we've lived it, because we breathe it every day.
Right.
And then we get a lot of like people coming to us and then asking us to adapt and not do our job. And it's like, if you want el arroz con pollo with, like, for real how it's made, then it has to be us a la chorrera, and it can't be the fucking Sofia no sé qué.
I just got hungry, la chorrera. I mean, I haven't had anything since lunch, so I'm in that hit me in all the places. So I know you ladies, you mentioned the Martians, and you mentioned, sorry, okay, the microphone sometimes aquí is a little wonky. Okay, it's better now.
Okay.
I believe you mentioned there was another project that may be coming down the pike.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to talk about that. I know I'm asking you to spill all your secrets, right? Like.
No, we're talking about it for sure. It's called Rubenology.
Rubenology. Now, is that the study of Ruben Blades?
It is the study of Ruben Rabasa.
Okay, I was close.
The making of an American legend.
Okay, now what was his name again? Ruben what?
Ruben Rabasa. So if you're Cuban and you're of a certain age, he's 84 years old. This is the story of his life, and this is him telling it. He is essentially a legend in some circles. He's been on everything from The Lost City to Sábado Gigante to blah blah. We give everything. We can keep going and going and going. But he was also, this is the crazy thing, he was in Amparo. And he was also
his character or he?
He.
Oh, he. Oh, okay.
He was playing a character, and because he's an actor, and he was the meme of 2019. He was focus group man in the show I Think You Should Leave, and he became this giant meme all over Netflix. All over the world because of the what he did on Netflix, and he has all these followers that are like Gen Z.
Are you serious?
Yes. So he's bridging this insane gap of
I feel so uncool. I don't know who he is.
Well, that's exactly why we're here. Because you would be in rehearsal and you would be talking to Ruben, and all of a sudden Ruben's like, yeah, and then I introduced Colin Firth to his wife. And you're like, what?
As one does.
As one does.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been on Taina.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
and he was Papi or whatever at Taina. His boobs have been touched by Adam Sandler. Like, he's that person that all of a sudden is whopping out a new story. That you're like, what? And people have seen him, but I'm sure that if you see his face,
he's that guy.
He's that guy.
Okay.
And he's done it with his Cuban accent, and he's done it with mostly speaking Spanish, and he has lived 84 years of his life doing the thing that he loves.
Yes, sir.
And living a beautiful life.
And he's done it being cast as a Italian, Native American, everything. And then when it comes to the Cuban movie, he doesn't get to play the Cuban. People like. Yeah, like I know. Well, essentially Italian Americans or whoever play those parts. So his trajectory is so fascinating for the right now, because he always asks why am I so late? Why am I so late? And the world had a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. I mean,
Yeah.
I have to go check this man out. Like, I feel like, again, I feel behind, the times and super uncool because he's a friggin' meme,
Yeah.
I'm not 84 in a meme.
No, but that's the best part is that he has an incredible Instagram following of this whole generation of people who are totally unlike him that are just in love with him. And, we're doing the show at Gable Stage, July 14th through the 31st.
¿Cuándo es? July?
July 14th
To the 31st.
To the 31st.
Gable Stage is
at the Biltmore.
at the Biltmore. Okay.
Which
okay.
is a whole thing. It's been a theater that's been there that nobody knows that it's there.
That's why I had to clarify.
Yes.
I was like,
Might
that's
be
not
the oldest. It might be close. Is it close to one of the oldest?
to the
It's
Coconut
really.
one of the ones that have been here forever. Yeah, but Coconut Grove closed. I'm saying
Right,
living
right,
and
right.
alive.
Oh, bueno, yeah.
And that's the thing that a lot of people that's like, it goes into silos. So we're super excited that this is not going to be a silo for a moment. Like, come, Ruben followers. And people want to know.
Well, okay, so I'm not going to be left out in the cold with this one.
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
okay, we're going to go. Look, we're going on a cruise on the 18th, so we'll have to figure it out. But, actually, both of us are going to be on a cruise. 'Cause God forbid we do anything without the other one. Like, it's a problem.
I'm kind of shocked that there's only one of you here today.
Well, the umbilical cord got a little longer today. So that's the only reason why. So, okay, Rubenology, the Martians. Now, I know the Amparo Experience is living online,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
It has its own Insta page
Yes.
where it has filmed.
Correct. We call it a social media movie.
There you go. I knew there was a phrase for it, but I couldn't remember what it was. So I was like, I'll cue it up and let her do it. So it's basically, it's not that you filmed while it existed. You went back and filmed it specifically for
Correct.
this execution.
Correct. We went all through Miami and Broward to find the places that look the most like Cuba.
Wait, there are places in Broward that look like Cuba.
There are.
Yes.
There, you have no idea.
Mira que la gente habla basura de Broward, pero okay,
¿Viste?
okay,
Y ahí está,
okay.
ahí está Luyano en el medio de
All right.
Broward.
It'd be great if you're like, yeah, so we filmed in Malecón.
It's like paraderos
More
there.
like Ronaldo.
Ahí in Pembroke Pines, we filmed. El Capitolio.
We just popped over to DC and filmed the Capitolio, no big deal. So we went throughout all of South Florida to find these pieces, and we were trying to find the way to tell this story in a way that people who couldn't watch the show,
Right.
especially in the time of Corona,
Right.
could have access to it and take the story in. So it was a task. It was like hard to be like, okay, why would Amparo be telling this story now? Like, we really took into account what it would mean for Amparo to tell the story on social media, and do it in an authentic way to the story and to the legacy that we've built.
Right.
And it's a totally different thing than the show. It's not at all like that, but it's a different way to see it, and it's somewhere where you could always go.
Right, right. It can live- it can live on.
It could live. And what is it about? Everyone was like, what is it about? What happened? What is this? What is that? You can just go and see it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Amparo ever came back, I would just say that you should pay attention to the social media because it might help you out in Amparo.
I feel like estás diciendo sin decir. So I'm going to leave it at that because I feel like y'all are dropping a little breadcrumb there without dropping too many, and I love it. Ladies, I can't express again how much I want to thank you, not just for being here with us today, but everything you're doing. When I went to the exhibit, which I confess I forgot the name of the exhibit at Books and Books right now. It's not coming to mind.
Well, don't worry. It essentially lives on as the Martians.
My eyes got watery at some of the stories, and so you've managed to capture something that we always say, which is, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. And, we are of a very, Martians is the perfect word for it, because it's like we've got this story that nobody seems to understand or want to understand, or they try to understand it, but they never fully can. And if we don't tell that story, it will eventually get lost, because let's face it, I only have one abuela left, and eventually we all do get older and the stories will go with us. And thank you so much for just making sure that that's not going to happen anytime soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. And this is also our invitation to tell you and others that we do it because it's our passion, but everybody should be recording those stories. Especially our grandparents' stories.
Yeah, but and if you have a story, if you want to tell us your story and be a Martian, because you already are, reach out.
Okay, you heard it here, guys. Todos los marcianos. That's it. We gotta get together. We gotta jump on our saucer. We gotta send the antennas and get the stories over to these ladies. Thank you so much. It's I can't wait to keep seeing everything y'all put out.
Thank you.
Pero Let Me Tell You is co-hosted by Darian Borges and Ismaeliano, produced by Ismaeliano, and our theme, Pero Let Me Tell You Freestyle, is composed by Michael Angelo Lamleplex, the official gay guy. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes.